Welcome,
Okay.
everybody, to another episode of Ordinary Extraordinary with yet another extraordinary person, Jane Albright. Albright. Yeah, I'm going to say that because I love saying that. Yeah. Hey, welcome, Jane. And you know my questions already. Let's dive right into it. Who are you and what do you do?
Who am I? That's a big question. To keep it simple, I'm Jane Albright. Um, that's so big. I keep it well. Basically, I'm the founder of Albright Yourself. That is my company that I started, and but I think you need to know a little bit about my journey because, what made you get here, and also just for the record, my last name has been a blessing and a curse.
Right.
Because you can be very all bright, but then like everybody expects you to be all bright all the time, and
Yeah.
then you'd get the nicknames through school where it's like, oh, you're half dark or you're partly cloudy. Like it became the weather. And so I kind of grew up understanding that there's like weather forecasts for my name and my soul, perhaps,
hmm hmm
and like, oh yeah, no, it's a sunny day. It's a partly sunny day. So anyway, Jane Albright, just already had that mission in life, I guess, to be aware
Yep.
of how I'm feeling, how we're doing, and so on. And and in case I missed it, kids in junior high definitely pointed it out. So what kind of got me on this path was I feel like I had a great childhood. I don't know, a lot of people can't say that. Like it was very Norman Rockwell, super fun, lots of freedom. It was the 70s. No one cared where their kids went all day. Um, and, like as I grew up, I have two younger brothers, and one was 12 years younger and kind of a surprise and just a total gift. And as we grew older, um, by the time he got into by the time he got into college, he noticed that he was feeling a little depressed one day, and so he was like, "It's not going away." And he went to a doctor, and the doctor put him on an antidepressant. And suddenly, "Yeah, I feel great, but I don't feel like myself." So there was
hmm
this balance going on already, and but that was back in 2001, and he ended up just, my mom and him just kind of said, "Oh, just if you don't feel right, just stop taking it." And now we know antidepressants create suicidal thoughts and patterns. We did not know that at the time.
hmm
Unfortunately, he was a part of the pattern, and so once he took himself off, he had probably a horrible inner battle that no one knew about, and so he took his life on
hmm
July 20th, 2001.
Wow.
So my incredibly normal life became completely not normal and rocked hard. So and I know there are people maybe watching this who will watch it at some point and go, yeah, man, everything was fine until it wasn't, and I've had gifts my whole life. I could hear spirits. I could hear my name being called, and like nobody would be in the room. I couldn't always see energy, and then sometimes I could. Uh, I remember actually kind of finding my high school boyfriend because I looked across the room and his eyes turned a bright, bright, luminescent green. And I was like, oh
Mm.
wow, And it turns out he was one of the best boyfriends of my life. Like he was a healer on his own right and just a sweet person. So I'm aware of gifts, but like as soon as my brother left the planet, I had that awareness already that I could do a few things, and I literally just refused to let him die. I'm like,
Mhm.
this is not going to happen. I'm,
Mhm.
standing at the pearly gates saying, let him back out or, let me in. Um, and I made it my mission to improve my skill set. And, but like, you're in the Midwest, like, what do you do? There's like no one teaches this stuff. Like
California.
I want to talk to dead people better. There's just not, there's not an advertisement for that on the TV. So I just said lots of prayers. I said, "Come to me in my dreams." I said, "I'm, open to hearing you," and just let it be. It's very frustrating. Eventually, I had lots of good dreams, and but it was so wild. Like it was one day I was like in the park in Chicago, and at lunch, and I looked around, and all of a sudden it was so weird. I could see like different colored lights inside of everybody,
Mm.
and it was like Christmas, but like I really thought I was losing my mind.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and oh gosh, I don't know. I mean, has anyone ever had something you just can't explain happen to you? And I told my coworker of all things and of all people, and she was, thank God, she was great. She's like, I think you're seeing chakras, and I
Mm-hmm.
thought, what's a chakra?
Mm-hmm.
And the next day she brought in a book, and I'm looking at it, and I'm like, but your first chakra is green. It's not red or maroon or whatever this is supposed to be. And she's like, it's green. And she's like, am I okay? I'm like, I don't know. You're asking me. Um, Spirit had other plans for me, obviously. And I then had another friend who was extremely bipolar. He was
Mm-hmm.
on lithium,
Mm-hmm.
but life had been a hard balance for him. He's a person I love very much, and Sasha, you know me. When I love big,
Yep.
and I'm all in.
Mm-hmm.
And he calls me one day and he goes, Jane, I found this place, these like meditations and visual structures, and I'm going on Sunday, and it's really helping me. And I'm like, he's like, you want to come? And I'm like, yeah, I'll totally come. Anything for you. And I go there, and I was still struggling. I had my own problems. I was running marathons because running helped anxiety and PTSD, and
Mm-hmm.
there was a lot of alcohol going on. I'd have a bottle of wine a night easily. I ate a lot of cake. There was
Yeah.
really bad sugar going on. Can anyone relate to that?
Yeah.
Hi.
Makes sense.
So we need Sugar Anonymous as well here. And then, so I get there, and in an hour, I'm like, wow, I feel kind of grounded. I feel like I can breathe. And then we stayed on for this healing hour, which is like aura therapy. And in an hour, like, I felt so good. Like, I felt like I had kind of gone back to me. Like, where's the me I've been missing for a while here. So, I also met the owner, who looked at me and said, oh, you're here to turn it off. And like everybody's there to like try and see all this energy, and I was seeing like too much.
Yep.
And so he's like, don't worry. He's like, we're gonna shut it down. And he's like, we're gonna teach you how to turn it on safely.
Mm.
And honestly, it was like the weirdest thing, but the best thing ever, because I learned from all their tools, and I even developed my own along the way. And so I know what it is to feel like a Jenga puzzle, to feel
Mm-hmm.
like something's pulling you or tugging you that's not in your control. And I know at least I know structures now that can get your feet on the ground, that
Mm-hmm.
can help you feel better. And I think, what is the main goal, is to feel better, right? To feel like yourself, or feel comfortable in your own skin. And, these tools, really did it for me. So I entered into their, like, a 3-year program.
Mm-hmm.
It was reasonably affordable. Like, I was glad I could afford it.
Mm-hmm.
And I spent, hours and hours meditating and like all this. Um, Long story short,
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah. Okay.
I just looked at all of this stuff, and I'm like, and I ended up helping my family with all these tools, and I realized, like, I have to share this. Like, everybody says heal yourself first,
Mm-hmm.
and then heal others, and I'm glad I listened, because when you heal yourself first, you kind of learn shortcuts and
Yep.
stuff
There you
too,
go. Mm-hmm.
and you get the wisdom of wallowing, you get all that.
Mm-hmm.
And if you'll indulge me for a tiny second, um, one of the greatest moments of my new abilities was in really kind of healing my mom and dad.
Mm-hmm.
um, I was laying in a park one day and practicing, meditating, and all of a sudden I could see my brother. He showed up in front of me, and he's like, "Hey, Jane," and he showed me a silver locket, like this little heart necklace. It was kind of a rounded heart. He opened it up in front of me and said, he points to it and he goes, "Just tell mom it's important."
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, well, what's in the locket? You know, whose picture? What's inside? He's like, just tell mom, it's important. And
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, fine. So, of course, I reach my mom and she's not home. But I finally get her. I tell her about it and she's like, oh my goodness. She's like, last week I was with your little cousin. We were looking at my jewelry in my jewelry box.
Mhm.
And she's like, we were actually remembering a year ago when we had this tiny little paper heart and we had folded it up and put it inside the locket. And she's like,
Mm.
when we were doing this, I said, Todd, if you can see me, go tell Jane.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. And
Goosebumps.
so I just want to call this out for anybody who's around.
Mhm.
Suicidal people, we want you to stay.
Mhm.
But I don't, like the only purgatory is what that person decides upon.
Mhm.
My brother is fine. His spirit is fine.
Mhm.
So any religion or anything like that telling you differently is not necessarily the case.
Right.
At least
There you
in
go.
my case.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and that's big. That's big. It's really
It's
important.
huge.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Because
For us
there was
not
so
to
much
look at the
guilt and
person. Yeah,
shame and
exactly.
taboo and everything. Yeah.
Perfect. Perfect. Yeah, thank you for that. And you kind of already answered the couple questions that I usually follow up with, who you are and what you do with the obstacles you overcame in
Yeah.
life, and what makes your heart sing. So you
Mhm.
can, if you think about anything to answer to these questions, but I think you've covered a lot. So
Yeah.
yeah, let's go to that, what makes your heart sing, and
Yeah.
then the last question.
Mm.
Go ahead.
Oh, what makes my heart sing is living and helping people, meeting amazing people like Sasha and so many others who are just, oh God, I love a good underdog.
Mhm.
When you've been in the trenches, I think anybody who's here has probably been in some kind of trench,
Mhm.
and clawed our way out and done the hard work, or if not, we're in the middle of doing the hard work or deciding to try and do some hard work.
Mhm.
Um, my heart sings when I see someone who's really been in it. They're working hard. They're being powerful in their own right, and they're choosing to rediscover themselves. And I there's so many images flooding into my head right now, so I have to pick and choose. But like I think the biggest takeaway that I know is that when you're living your life, it's okay to find people like Sasha, myself, other people, whoever is kind of like a good role model or mentor, someone who's mental mentor, someone
Mental
who's been
too.
there
Yeah.
for you,
Mhm.
been in the same path as you. I think it's reasonable to work with anyone who's already been there as a way shower, and we've got shortcuts. um,
Mhm.
and hopefully along the way we can even make it fun, and that's one of the things I try to do with a lot of my tool set is I've been told I'm like a fun mermaid, it's sparkly or whatever, but like we've got our torches and we're going down into the depths of the ocean, to
Mhm.
talk to that big ugly octopus, or
Right, right,
see
right,
what's
right.
in those deeper caves that have been a little scary for us. But Sasha and I are like people, we keep you safe, we keep you light, we keep you grounded, and so that's I
Until you
love
learn
being
to do it
in the
yourself.
company of you and others like you, and we've got a lot of good work here to do. And let's see here. I think was the last question like,
The last question is, what suggestion, what advice, what comes out from your heart that you can give to whoever is listening right now, or whoever's
mm,
watching?
you
What's the
know,
biggest thing, the takeaway for them?
the biggest flow I've seen, just because I have come I don't want to say I was probably addicted to sugar a little bit. I probably still am. I got like, but like and had alcohol, which I was able to let go of, mostly, so that's good. Um, Coming from a point of view of um, healing pain, and my biggest advice is to be brave
Mm,
and to do the hard work. But find a good coach, find a good mentor, do the hard work safely.
Mm.
And how do I put this? I don't always make promises, but I love to make a promise that when you do the hard work, you're going to feel better. You
Hmm.
know, it might take a while, but you're going to feel better. And um, I think the other thing, because I come from that like kind of suicide lineage in terms
Hmm.
of healing work, is you know, finding what fulfills you. What is
Hmm.
your fulfillment? And there's many. There can be many, large, small. You don't have to conquer the world. You can just make someone smile today.
Hmm.
Um, it can be very simple. Um, you know, Tony Robbins says, you know, if you're a successful person but you have no fulfillment, that's a failure. So it doesn't
Hmm.
matter about money. It matters what's going on in your heart. And I and in finding your fulfillment, it's a little fun cocktail, right? And finding
Right.
your fulfillment and feeling better, because when you find your fulfillment, you're gonna feel better.
Yep.
But sometimes you have to take some uncomfortable moves, like you might need to not be so shy. You might need to be a little brave or courageous, or start something new, or
Mm.
connect with others in a way that maybe you're not used to. And
Yep. Yep. Yeah, there you go.
that's
There
my
you go.
advice.
So
That's the
be
cocktail,
yeah,
man.
yeah, yeah, that
Cheers. And
be
that's
brave.
a good cocktail, by the way. I just want to
Yeah,
call that out. That's a good cocktail, not
absolutely,
like a
absolutely,
toxic cocktail. It's a good one.
absolutely. Yeah, yeah. And
Happy
everybody will
cocktail.
have their path, but the brave, being brave is like the first ingredient, right? Like if I don't try and change what's happening, I'm just gonna get the same results.
Yeah.
So,
Every day, if you can put even one more particle of energy into something positive for yourself,
mhm.
it
That
adds
will
up.
be it.
It adds up.
Absolutely. Well, Jane, thank you. Thank you very much for sharing part of you with us,
You're
and
welcome. It's a
I
pleasure.
I want to keep these things always like shorter than
I
the
know. And I told you to keep
podcasts
me.
because people, I want them to come and ask more questions. I want you guys
Yes.
to, whoever is watching, to
Yep.
understand that this is just the beginning, right? So nothing happens by mistake. If you're watching this till this minute, it means it's already meant to be. So I wanted
Exactly.
to come and look up Jane. Jane, I'm going to put the information about her website, wherever she is, could be found in this big, vast sea of cyber world, right? And then
Yes.
see how you guys can work together and
Hmm.
get to the place where you've never been. And hopefully it's a better
Yeah.
place than when you are now. So thank you very much, Jane, for coming. And I hope to see you again and again in my life until death do us part.
Oh, we're in this.
In
Forget
even
about
in even
we're
after
in
death.
this, you know. And I will say, all bright yourself first, and then all bright others. So here we are.
There
You
you go.
know.
That's it.
So.
Thank you. Thank you very much.